And so, welcome back to the P.S. Gilmore story and episode 45, I believe. 45, it's incredible. I'm a week late because of this dreadful cold, and I hope I see some of my friends in America also picked it up as well. Anyway, the inside information is a good glass of whiskey, specifically either good bourbon or good Irish whiskey. That'll cure it. So we are just reviewing the P.S. Gilmore that we've done in the first 44 docs. Here's a letter from 1864, and it gives you an idea again how big a character this was, P.S. Gilmore was in America. 1864, a letter to Abraham Lincoln introducing Gilmore to the president. Johnny Comes Marching Home, a composition by Gilmore under the pseudonym Louis Lambert. And again, first played in New Orleans. So we have so much already that literally hasn't really been told before these documentaries. So review those. Gilmore was delighted that the war was over in 1869. He decided he would plan the National Peace Jubilee. Let us have peace. But it wasn't just about harmony in music. It was about harmony amongst the people in the states, in the towns, in the villages, in the cities, amongst families, how to get people together. And that's what the National Peace Jubilee was actually all about. Here's an idea of the amount of organization that went into it. The musicians' kit, I would call it, his ticket to play as a musician, the train ticket, the actual ribbon that he would wear on his suit, and of course 2 CDVs of Gilmore and Ole Bull. Here's some pictures from that, and again you can go back into the National Peace Jubilee documentary. I'll be publishing and adding a complete contents, I suppose, for all of these docs to allow for ease of access to people as time goes on. Here's stereo view photographs from my collection of the actual event. And from the later event, 1872, here's a bunch of gorgeous young ladies having some snacks, I suppose. We don't know. It's fairly close to the orchestra pit, because we've got the actual seats, etc., for the orchestra in front. And these ladies would, of course, be probably shopping for a husband at that event. That was to celebrate the arrival of peace in our time between the Prussians and the French. From that concert, again, we've got the rostrum with the soprano singing on the rostrum, with the conductor, we don't know who, in either case, on the same rostrum. To the right of them are the premium seats. Here is a complimentary ticket for the press into the press room, and this is also from my collection. And again, this was been covered by papers from all over the world, with 10 telegraphs from the actual press room. An amazing feat in those days. Here's the concert program from July the 6th, 1872, for Johann Strauss himself. And again, just to remind you how big this was. This was the only time that Strauss would come to America, and he was delighted with the response, delighted with the effects, and of course he sold his waltzes and so on and so forth. After that, Gilmore decided he'd move the whole band and everything to New York, bigger catchment area population-wise, and he started Gilmore's Concert Garden, an area that you could go to and hear music whilst it was snowing outside, and take a walk with your wife and your family as you had a glass of wine or coffee or whatever it is inside in that building. Later on, that building became, on the same wall there on the right, Madison Square Garden, and a development. And again, Gilmore holds the record, according to Reader's Digest, of, I think it's 150 times consecutively in Madison Square Gardens to crowds of 10,000 or more. A huge feat itself. What a piece of history. 3 years after that, Gilmore has prepared his band to take him on a tour of Europe, because he wants to elevate the music of America and the performances of America, so that they would be welcomed at the altar of performance against the very best offered by the Europeans. Here's St. George's Hall in Liverpool, which was given to Gilmore free by the Earl of Derby. Here's what Gilmore would have seen as he went into the Trocadero later, a month later in Paris. And here is obviously the head of the Statue of Liberty, which was now at this stage been put together in Paris. And indeed, they were looking for somewhere to erect it permanently. So here is Lady Liberty herself. And of course, it was in Paris that Gilmore competed against the best, the Band de la Républicaine de France, the orchestra from Milan, etc., etc. And here Gilmore was presented as Directeur de la Musique de Harmonie Américaine, Concerts du Trocadero, the greatest band in the Trocadero in the 1878 Paris Exposition. The concert tour of Europe finished up with a concert in this theatre here, which took for 1 month of bookings, Kroll's Opera House in Berlin. And it was here that the aficionados studying Gilmore said this was the greatest band that had ever played in Germany. Gilmore returned to much applause eventually in America, and particularly to the construction of the St. Patrick's Cathedral in New York, where, of course, he had to play his part as a Catholic and so on. And they were in need of money to decorate and furnish this huge religious edifice that still stands to this day. And here is the advertisement for that fair on December the 5th, 1878, for the elegant display of useful and ornamental articles. Admission 50 cents, and if you go into the cathedral today, the promenade concert, Gilmore's band was to the right of the main altar, up at the on the right hand side. So once more, Gilmore was playing his part. And so, what are we going to study in the next few programs? We're now entering a period from approximately 1880 onwards to Gilmore's death, 1892, which is known through history as the Gilded Age. That can also be translated as 1870 to the 1890s, but we'll take it as 1880 to 1890 because that fits in also with Gilmore's movement to New York. In this period called the Gilded Age, a vast gulf opened between the rich and the poor. And why is that? This age was a period of change in America, with the change, with the expansion of transportation and the lack of income tax, certain families really benefited, including the Vanderbilts, the Morgans, the Fords, the Carnegies, the Rockefellers, and many, many more. They would be the primary beneficiaries. Increased benefits were experienced by the lower classes, who would experience smaller increases in their living wage and so on. And something appeared now which we will call disposable income. And that'll play a part in the development of New York and so on and so forth. But they were primarily, all of these lower classes were primarily waiting for scraps to fall from the tables of the rich. So we're going to be looking at the Gilded Age more and more closely in this part of the Gilmore story and his band's participation in American history of that time. I hope you've enjoyed this. It's good to be back. I hope I'm a little bit better next week. But we look at this, and if you have any questions, please email me at gilmoresband@gmail.com. Please click subscribe and like. And look,